We're Rich and Kirsten, and last week we drove our self-converted Ford Transit camper van 3,500 kilometers in 3 days across Canada to start living our van life. We crossed 3 provincial borders along the way and listened to countless podcasts, but most importantly, we finally got a taste of everything that we love about living the van life.
I got you a present! A new coffee maker! Honestly, we've been drinking way too much instant coffee the last few days, so this is worth its weight in gold to us. I don't think I've ever been so excited to be reunited with real coffee again. Losing that here, a little windy. There's already way too many coffee montages on the internet, so you don't think we'd do that to you again, would we? We started the week out in Calgary, first visiting the mech store to pick up some new gear. I picked up this new day hiking bag. It's a Gregory Nano 18. It's technically a men's day hiking bag, but it meets all my requirements for a good bag. Space for my water bottle, space to add a lens, space for snacks, and a good slim fitting back so that we don't get too hot and sweaty. The next day, armed with my new bag, we headed out on a summit hike in the Kananaskis region. Unfortunately, Mother Nature had other plans for us, so we ended up turned back around and back at the vehicle. We didn't want to waste the day, so we made the most of it, hopped back in the van, and started driving down Highway 40 towards the Kananaskis Lakes. Along the road, we were greeted by 2 beautiful grizzly bears just minding their own business, eating some dandelions, so it was really cool to see them this early in the season. They didn't seem like they were full size yet, but we don't know if they were cubs. The weather finally broke for us, so we headed on a short hike to a beautiful lake located at the base of Mount Black Prince. After a nice hike, we headed towards the Kananaskis Lakes, where we found some camping spots that maybe we'll be checking out a little later this week. The weather was still holding off for us, so we decided to take a nice little walk around the lake, but Mother Nature gave us her final warning. So we drove back to Calgary. Yes, it is Calgary. We've been corrected. It's not Calgary. Sounds like a guy, doesn't it? Calgary.
2 guys.
2 guys? Cal and Gary. They love to hike in Kananaskis. We were in desperate need of a shower. And to pick up some more groceries. Now that that's done, we can finally head back into the Canadian wilderness. We did make one other very important stop though. We headed into a Bell store to upgrade our phone plans. We've been on public mobile for about 3 years, using as much data as we do in the van. It was not working for us anymore. Public mobile operates at 3G speeds versus Bell, which works at 4G LTE, and honestly, it has been game-changing. The last video, we sat in a Starbucks for 2 hours uploading it and vowed never to have to do that again. But now with better weather, I think it's best that we head back to Kananaskis because I think the Walmart staff are starting to recognize us.
It's starting to hail up on the mountain here. They're calling for potential thunder showers here in about 2 hours. But the mountains make their own weather, so I'm not sure I want to take this risk at this point. We're gonna turn around and maybe try this one another day.
Christmas card 2021. Snowing in the mountains in June. So Christmas card in July. Christmas in July. I think we've earned our burger tonight. Looks like we're having them with shaken margaritas.
Look at the size of that. You can see the hill there. We like mayonnaise, don't we?
It's a guilty pleasure.
There's nothing guilty about it.
Never give up real mayonnaise. Let's see if I can do this.
Snow table life is a little difficult.
That hits the spot.
Tasty as always. It sucks to get turned around on a mountain, especially when you get that close, but Mother Nature is not something to play around with, especially when there's snow and hail and the rest of your summit is a rocky slab all the way to the top. Gets slippery pretty quickly.
I think it's safe to say we've earned this burger and whatever other snacks we get into tonight, because I'm starving and I'm pretty tired. So I think after this it's time to find a spot to hunker down for the night and start again tomorrow.
That right there is bear scat. Although it's looking pretty old, it's got a crusty layer on it, so I don't think the bear's in the area anymore. It's a big pile too. I bet you that's a grizzly. That is a monster dump. Better shape, eh?
2021, number 1. If only this peanut butter sandwich wasn't so dry. I think my bread's gone stale. Well, on that note, I think it's time we head back to the van to do something different and maybe eat a more substantial lunch. Do you smell that?
So this is a first come first serve campsite on Lower Kananaskis Lake, and I really don't think it gets much better than this. The original plan was to stay for one night, but it is so beautiful we decided to stay for a second night. Now the rules of the campsite are a little odd. After registration they require a sleeping unit, which is our van, or a tent on location at all times. And we're not 100% done exploring for the day yet, so we're gonna have to pitch our tent, which is honestly the number one reason why we still have this tent in our van. Why sleep in a tent when you have a van? But we don't want to lose our spot because this spot's pretty freaking awesome.
This looks like a great place to not sleep the night.
I think we're gonna tear this tent down in like 2 hours.
Yeah.
But pro tip, put rocks in your tent so it doesn't blow away.
We learned that the hard way last year at Wilcox when somebody else had to put rocks in our tent for us.
Amateurs.
Oops.
So we found this cool bridge on our escapades, but we still can't figure out why exactly it's here. There's no river to cross, and it's in the middle of nowhere. It's not marked, it's not signed. I haven't figured it out yet, but it's cool. It swings in the wind. You're rocking it.
As far as suspension bridges go, this one's pretty good because you can't see through the bottom. It's solid wood through, or at least wood planks. And the drop looks scary, but you can also see the parts that are suspending the bridge. It's a reverse suspension bridge, which means all the supports are down in the ground rather than up top pinned to the sides and the back of the bridge. Something like that. I look like a flight attendant there. This one's okay.
We made this sign here back in Ontario during the van build as a little bit of unnecessary added motivation to actually get the build done. And we told ourselves we were gonna keep this and put it in our very first campfire with our new van. And the day has finally come. We picked up some firewood and it's time to actually build a fire. Now we did not bring any fire starter, therefore this sign will be the fire starter. Kind of signals the end of one chapter for us and the beginning of a new chapter, even though this is our second video on the road already. And it's been like a week and a half, a week? Something like that. It's time to finally put the van build to rest and enjoy van life for what it is. This is kind of an emotional moment for us.
Wow, this is so cheesy and sentimental of you.
There we go. I'm gonna reek of campfire after this. I suppose there's worse things to smell like, isn't there?
Natural deodorant?
I think this is gonna catch here. Well, van build to-do list. It's been a pleasure, but it's time to say goodbye. We have fire!
Last week we said that we wanted to cook something a little bit more elaborate on camera, so we thought we'd share with you one of our favorite one-pan meals that we make even when we're not on the road. What we're making today is dark soy hoisin noodles. We add fresh ginger, garlic, and onions to it to really help enhance the flavor. It's just such a simple meal that we absolutely love and brings all the taste of Asia back into our van. The base of this is our fresh vegetables. Today we're using broccoli, carrots, green onion, fresh ginger. We also have crushed garlic ready to go for us. This is super convenient when you're living in a van. Normally we would add tofu. You can add chicken or shrimp if you'd like, but today we are using just egg. We've also decided to use fresh rice noodles today. We were really lucky that when we were in Calgary, we were staying right by a T&T's and they have fresh rice noodles in their cooler. If you are gonna be cooking this at home and don't have access to fresh rice noodles, dried rice noodles work perfectly fine. I really recommend the thick ones. They provide the best texture for this. What you wanna do is soak them in boiling hot water for about 10 minutes, but don't boil them like you would pasta. Otherwise, they'll get a little too soggy for the stir frying later on. Other than that, dressing this up is really simple. We like to use dark soy sauce, hoisin sauce, and this amazing crunchy garlic chili oil that we found at T&T's. This stuff is amazing. There are so many different types of chili oils that you can use, but it adds just a little bit of kick and a little more texture. We're starting by dicing our carrot into matchsticks. This provides the most even fry. You can also do this with a mandolin if you have one. For the green onions, I like to start by getting rid of all of the bits that are probably a little bit less desirable, like this. I'm gonna separate the whites from the greens. The whites we're gonna be frying up at the beginning with the garlic and the ginger, and the greens we're gonna be adding later on. So in the van, our preferred method of cooking is with our induction. We have a Kurodori induction, which is from Home Hardware. It's available in Canada. I'm not sure if it's available anywhere else. The reason why we really like this one is it shows us what the wattage is when it's outputting, which is really important for us when we're monitoring how much we're using against our battery. So I'm going to turn this on to about 800 watts to begin with, which is about a medium heat because this goes up to 1800 watts. We're going to start off with some canola oil. You can use pretty much any oil you want. However, you want to pick a neutral tasting oil, so probably not olive oil. I put the exhaust on before you did it.
That's a first.
That's a first. I'm really reluctant to put the exhaust on. I don't know why. We're just gonna cook this down until the onions get translucent and the garlic starts to brown. Then we'll add in our broccoli and carrots. And then after that, our noodles. At this point, we would normally add in tofu. Unfortunately, we don't have any today, so we're adding in this just egg that I've quickly diced up here. After this, I'm just gonna add a little bit of soy sauce in too. That's gonna help to loosen up the noodles when we add them in. Just trying to separate these noodles as we add them, as they can be a little bit stuck together. We're also gonna add in probably about 3 to 4 tablespoons of hoisin sauce. This is gonna add a really nice balance to the flavor, adding some sweetness. And for the not so secret ingredient, a nice big helping of chili garlic oil. More? I think next time we eat Asian food, we need to invest in chopsticks.
It's a good thing that there's a T&T right by the Walmart in Calgary. Good as always. Kirsten and I have struck a really nice balance in this van. Almost without exception, she cooks and I clean pretty much 100% of the time, which means there's no question about whose responsibility it is to cook dinner or clean the kitchen.
However, we do happen to share the responsibility of making coffee. No one apparently makes coffee better than each other, so.
We're going to enjoy the rest of our meal. We're also going to enjoy the rest of our night at this beautiful, beautiful campsite. And we're going to get some rest because we have one more trail that we're hoping to hit up before we head back to Calgary.
It's moments like these that remind us why getting rear windows was one of our #1 criterias when choosing a van. Waking up to this view, watching the sunset from the bed was absolutely breathtaking last night. Sometimes it's a hindrance when you're at Walmart and there's nothing to see, but places like this make it all worth it.
Look at those sheep. Absolutely beautiful animals. This is what it's all about, guys. I'm just gonna keep my distance because I don't want to upset them. This is their habitat after all, not mine.
Well, that's one for the books. I think we're a little wet, and I'm not planning on sticking around here very long.
You can't even really see much, it's totally socked in. Still really beautiful though.
Gotta get going to get that heart rate back up. So that ends our time in Kananaskis. We've had an amazing time checking out some of the peaks in this area, spending a little time camping, and just relaxing for the most part after spending so much time driving a couple weeks ago now.
As always, a shout out to our patrons for making videos like this possible, and we will see you in the next video.
Bye!